Hey.
What's up, boy?
Hey, Alex.
Yep, Alex.
Wagwan, Khaliq. What are you saying?
Fuck all, mate. How are you doing?
That top isn't even right, mate. That's what's going on.
It's proper dad shit, isn't it?
Proper. You are literally 50 years old, which segues nicely into another of the dad and the dude. It's starring your boys. And listen, I got some questions, some quick tings, some deep tings, but some low-key, trippy as fuck, I'm high right now things. No, I'm not. It's a joke. Everything's fine. Let me debut my new glasses. So these are old and have children's stickers on them. But these bad boys are some Tom Fords. Act like you care, you bitch.
Have you seen my glasses?
Let's both be glasses and beards, guys. Let's do it.
Look like me. The job for as well, man. Look like a sex offender.
Oh my days. You know what I was thinking?
I'll be the glasses guy.
Watching back the songwriting one a bit, I can't watch the whole thing as if I'm going to cringe and watch myself all day. Imagine a person who actually works on a podcast and all day they're just watching it back and editing it. What a fucking life, isn't it?
That's sad.
That's pretty sad. But yeah, I was watching it back a bit and I was like, listen, this is good content, but like, we're funnier than this. I'm not sure. And then you're like, we should do like, it's almost like a self-helpy idea to do it alongside a self-authoring course. And that's really sick. But like, mate, I was just thinking, we're funny. What the fuck's going on here? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are fucking hilarious.
We are pretty funny. We're older now. Do you reckon humor sort of withers?
No, I reckon it gets more like sadistic and
more real, innit? Like you get closer
to more life experience behind it.
Yeah. So this is my question for you today in this episode of The Dad and the Dude. As our loyal audience knows, every episode.
Our loyal audience, yeah, all 12 views.
3 of which are probably me.
Yeah.
There's, you know, we go back and forth as we have done since me and Aaron first met at college, at university. We're in England. And I remember being in my room being like, I live with 9 other men. And probably a lot of people just masturbating in their rooms and having various niche interests. And it's a bit intimidating. And I'm just going to stay here. And this motherfucker just would not stop knocking on my door and inviting me to shit. And then one day I opened the door and I let love in. Anyway, so since then, we've been chatting up about fucking bollocks. My highlights are always the ones at the 24-hour McDonald's at like 3 a.m. Those were the ones. But the concept is I ask a question, he asks a question. Every episode is just centered or triggered by by a question, and then we just chat shit about it. We could cover it, we could answer it, we could just use it as a starting off point. But my question to you, which I've been pondering for quite some time now, is how has your first year of being a dad compared to your expectations of fatherhood before Jacob was born? And how have you felt about being a parent during a pandemic? And just to help you out here, because that's a mad question, I think part of why I'm genuinely curious isn't just like these are big topics. It's actually personally, same as you with your songwriting question. I want to be a dad, my guy. I'm looking forward to it. I think I'll be a good one eventually, but it's still like a few steps away. And I just wonder how that last step you took from, oh my God, it's going to be like this, it's going to be like this, to, oh fuck, it's actually like this. Like, I'm wondering what that movement in your life was like.
Yeah. It was fine. I'm Aaron Khaliq. This has been Jeffrey Bahlo. See you later, guys. Just trashing my whole house, man.
Come on, lovely.
I had no idea what to expect, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
I thought it was just going to be like loads of cute stuff. I understood that there'd be like lots of like nappy changes and crying and all that sort of stuff, but
which there is, right?
Yeah, because it's a baby. That's what they do.
It's like he was born and you're like, oh wait, this shit all takes care of itself. What was I worried about?
He's just doing everything by himself. He's just pooing directly into the nappy bin. Yeah, honestly, like, you see like videos of like parents with their kids and it's really sweet and it's cute and all that sort of stuff.
Sure.
I thought it was going to be just like that.
Like
And
social.
a lot of, yeah, pretty much. And a lot of the time it is. The emotional side of it, I'd never thought, like, you can't preempt that. You've got no idea what that feels like until it happens.
Right.
Like, if somebody said, describe it to me, I can't.
So like in my head, I'm thinking, I'm about to have a child. Oh, that's mad. I'm probably going to care about this kid even more than me. I can't really get my head around it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but, okay, so, like, once you actually have the kid, so let me try and, like, verbalize this as good as possible.
Because the only thing I have, I guess, in comparison is like either the love for a parent or a romantic partner. Like these are the most intense loves until you're a parent. So how does it?
Yeah,
a step, not to rank them, but it's a step up. It's a bigger intensity.
it's definitely a step up. Like, I'm happy to rank it because, like, the child's dependent on you as well. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
How can I explain it? It's like this whole new level of love that you didn't know existed. So, like, you think you love your parents, and you do love your parents, and like you think you love your partner and all that sort of stuff, and then you have a child, and you're like, oh my god, right? I would kill people for this child now.
That's a nice way, yeah, because it would take me a minute to kill people if someone's being a bit rude to my dad.
Yeah, or like I used to say things like, when stuff would happen to kids, like in the news and stuff, and you'd have parents go to jail for like attacking somebody. Yeah. And I always thought, like, why would you do that? Like, you're actually just giving your child a worse life now because you're not going to be around them because you're going to be in prison. And now I'm like, if somebody gave Jacob a dirty look, I'd slap him up. Like, it's ridiculous. It's just mad.
But the thing is though, because that whole, even me saying like, if someone was rude to my dad, like if someone's rude to my dad or if someone gives Jacob a dirty look, both of those are similar in that we're not actually gonna fuck up their lives for that. That's just a joke of something quite insignificant. But you probably take it a lot more personally than I would if because we're talking about the small things, right? Your news story is like, obviously if someone went for him, you'd be a madman, like an animal. But for just a small thing, you probably just you even take the small things differently. So like if you're at the park and someone's being a bit like, let's say Jacob gets pushed in the park by another baby who's not like doing it on purpose, bless him, like the one-eyed baby with Maggie, the one-eyebrowed baby. But like, are you like, oh shit, like I hope this doesn't hurt his confidence, fuck that baby? Like it's a lot more shit, right?
There's an instinct that you get that just sort of kicks in. You don't think, it's just kind of goes like that and you react to it. And I'm not going to say any names because I don't know if you'd appreciate me saying this. And, just in case he's one of the 13 people that watches the podcast.
Yeah.
I was talking to another dad.
Yes.
And he said to me, have you had that moment yet where like you just go full dad mode and like hurt somebody else? And I was like, no, not yet. So he was telling me about a time where his son was at one of these sort of trampoline type places.
Yep.
And one of the other kids, so just a random kid, like hit his son.
Hit?
And he goes, without thinking, he grabbed this other kid, right, and like threw them at the wall. It's lucky that it was where it was because it's like super padded and everything's fine.
Yeah.
So he's grabbed his kid by the hand, like pulled him off and gone, said to his wife, like, we need to go now. I've just thrown a kid at the wall.
Sure.
But yeah, so I think that kind of stuff kicks in. I remember like when Nicole was pregnant.
Yeah.
And she was walking in the garden and she tripped a little bit. And rather than going, are you okay? It like the first thing in my head, it was just like, that's my child in there.
Shoot.
And I just went, you fucking clumsy bastard, like that to her. And she sort of looked at me and I was like, oh shit, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know where the fuck that came from. But yeah, it's a bit like that. And the most bizarre one for me is I've always been someone that's like, when my kid's old enough, he's going to go do martial arts, he's going to do jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, he's going to like go to the gym when he's old enough and all that sort of stuff.
Proper.
And then when he was born, I was looking at him just like, I don't want him to be in a world where like he might have to defend himself. That's horrible.
Hey, that's deep shit.
And then you kind of go, well, that's reality. That's why he needs to do them things.
Exactly.
But instead of it just being like, you're going to be a man, you're going to be strong, you're going to do this stuff, which is why I was doing it initially.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, like there's people in the world that might hurt him.
Right.
And I need to like prepare him as best for that as I can.
Right. Fuck. So if anything, it makes me kind of sadder about the shitty bits of the world that you were just resigned to as you, Aaron. But you, Aaron, the dad, it's like the shitty bits of the world actually break your heart a bit more because that's Jacob's world now.
Yeah, exactly. Because like we're used to it. Do you know what I mean? And he's so innocent at the moment. Like nobody's ever hurt him. The only pain he's felt is like when he's fallen over trying to walk and stuff.
Yeah.
And you know that like there's other people that will hurt him.
Yeah, fuck. That's proper. It even makes me think of the smaller things. Like I think about lots of moments for me as a kid where like, you know, at school, the first time like either someone teased you or even something tiny, like the first time someone lied to you or like an older kid just sort of told you some shit and you took it to heart. Like at a certain point that you're not quite there yet because Jacob's so young, he's going to be out there in the world and these little things are going to happen that you can't protect him from. And he's going to have to, obviously he can come and talk to you about it. But I just always think of those first few years at Vaughan School for me where like little social interactions would just properly impact me and throw me off my game or like you'd grow from. It's not all bad. Like you have to learn to adapt and be resilient. But like I imagine as a parent, that first drop off at school is going to be a big deal, for instance, because fucking hell.
Yeah, probably. And it really makes me appreciate just like some of the stuff my dad went through with me as a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, all really generic kind of stuff, but like, you know, when your parents are making a big deal out of something and you're like, I don't know what your problem is.
Yeah.
And now you're like, I entirely get what your problem was.
Right. You'll never.
It wasn't a problem. You were doing the right thing completely.
Do you relate to both of them? Do you relate to both of them a lot more now? I mean, your dad, because you're a dad.
Yeah. My mom wasn't really like the disciplinarian in the family. That was much more my dad. And I think that's just standard when you've got a family of 3 boys.
100%.
But yeah, no, definitely. Especially stuff like, you know, when you go through breakups when you're younger.
Yeah.
And so recently, like my dad, one of my brothers went through a breakup, and he's like, what? Not that much younger than me. So still like late 20s. Yeah. And my dad's attitude is like, I just want to kill everybody now. Like, how dare somebody like hurt my son and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, Dad, it's fucking, they're adults, it's fine.
Yeah.
And he's like, just wait, mate. You've got a son now, you'll understand. And I get it completely now. Like, if a girl hurt Jacob, like, it's going to take a lot for me to not do anything, if you know what I mean. It's going to take a lot.
That's beautiful. But that's also, I don't think that's necessarily as natural as the physical protection one. I think that's your dad. I think not all dads are that. I think a lot of...
No, I agree. Some dads would just be like, get on with it, you pussy.
Well, yeah. It's like there's a whole spectrum for like either caring or not and either showing it or not. But like your dad's almost taking it to heart like it happened to him. And I think that's probably where a lot of, let alone the animal stuff that everyone has as a dad, that's where a lot of your stuff I feel like comes from because you take that shit personally. I remember how much he had your back when we were at uni if certain shit went down with you. And I thought, God, that's love, man. That's if you... He when you get hit, he feels it.
So I don't know if that is just him. I'm sure lots of other dads are like that as well.
Sure.
Or I don't know if that's a dad thing. But you literally look at your child like an extension of yourself.
Right.
Yeah. Like there's points where I look at Jacob, I'm like, oh my God, that is me.
Oh fuck.
You know what I mean? And it's like messed with my head a few times because I'll be looking at him from the side and from a side profile, he looks exactly the same as me when I was a child.
Ooh, that's mad.
And I'm like, wow, that is really weird. It looks like I'm looking at myself.
Yeah, it's like a time warp. Oh, that's mad.
Yeah.
Oh, that's mad. Because I do think every dad must feel parts of that, but I definitely think a lot of the richer stuff you're talking about does come from your dad. As someone who's met your dad and knows your dad, I think a lot of stuff either genetically or psychologically has got passed down to you because the breakup example of you finding it very hard to do something if a girl broke up with her, that's proper your dad, man. That's good shit.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
The whole, and just from that energy coming from you and your dad, the whole community, if the second a girl breaks Jacob's heart, she's fucked. Isn't it though? But all that to say, with the lack of safety in the world, there's a bit, isn't there? Because you're so cognizant of having to take care of yourself and work on yourself and responsibility. The bit where he's only actually going to get his shit together and become a full person by you letting go at points, that must be a scary thing to. And the fact that it's not quite here yet, you probably can push it away. You're in completely take care of every minute mode. But like at some point, because I worry about this, because I'm very like attached and caring, and I feel like I'm going to love this bit where like it's all on you all the time. But the bit where like you have to put them out in the world and let them figure out bits, but like still be there, and that balance. Oof. Like how do you have that in your head?
That's rough because the area of Luton we live in at the moment is like one of the bad ones.
Right.
Right. So it's fine for us because we're like full grown adults. So we're not involved in any sort of the gang shit, the drug dealing, nothing like that.
Sure. Good on you.
Cheers, man. Appreciate it. But I know that, like, once he starts school around here, there's going to be that kind of influence around him. Probably more so than other areas in Luton.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's not even abstract. You're literally thinking because of our area, that shit is round the corner.
It 100% is. Like, opposite my house, one of my neighbours, while me and Nicole were out, we saw on the Ring doorbell, the camera ones, they had like armed police like raiding their house and all this sort of stuff because it turns out they were dealing drugs and they found some guns in the house and all this sort of stuff. And these are like neighbours that we talk to and stuff. Do you know what I mean? So on one level, I'm like, that's fine. Like, I know that sort of stuff goes on around us. I don't even really judge people for doing that stuff.
Right. No.
I don't know people's circumstances or anything.
Right.
But then my son is also around that. That is also happening where my son is living now. You see what I mean?
I do. I do.
One thing I've sort of decided is before he hits high school, like we do need to leave this area because I don't want him growing up as a teenager around here.
See, that's another thing that people always talk about that I can't relate, because right now I'm thinking, as a man, where do I want to be? And like Brexit and where should I be in the world? People always talk about like, oh, for the kids, we're moving here, we're moving there, blah, blah, blah. So that's really interesting to hear that real life example of like, we can do now, but once he's at a certain age, I really don't like how this place could affect him. I want to go.
That is exactly what happened to us when we were sort of early years of high school.
Really?
So the area in Luton that I grew up in, there was like lots of like drug dealing and stuff going on. Lots of like sex working, all that sort of stuff. Like you'd see it on like literally on the street, you'd like walk down the road and like there'd be sex workers just like standing on the corners. Just syringes like down the road and all that sort of stuff. And like I'm a kid like skateboarding and growing up around this stuff, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then my dad was just like, nah, like we're not doing this anymore. And then we moved to where my parents live now. So it's like a lot calmer there. Not really as much stuff goes on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's exactly that same logic.
Shit, man. Do you ever like have like fantasies of if money were no object, what would be the ideal place?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Where would? I'm curious.
I think ideally just like, you get these like little villages outside of like towns.
Yeah. So you're not in the city.
Somewhere like, yeah, just that sort of stuff. Like there's not enough people there for like stuff to really happen. But then at the same time, this is what's weird.
Yeah.
Is the people with the most character that I know, like the most well-rounded people and stuff, all grew up in really rough areas, came from like difficult situations with their families and all this sort of stuff. And then the ones that make it out of that and become stronger people are so sort of much more well-rounded. Yeah.
And it's interesting that you equate a town with like rough area. So like it doesn't like all like I live in Harrow, so I guess it's different. But like there have been moments here. There's crime here as well, but like I still don't think of it as rough as say you think of your town. But like you're literally saying for the safety aspect, because of what I'm used to with towns, I'd like to go to the country, basically.
So I think I know this because I know Luton. There's like definitely areas in Luton that I could live and it'd be safer. Like even where my parents live and Nicole's parents live and stuff, it's not that bad around there.
Right.
But yeah, no, so it wouldn't have to literally be like to leave the town.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when you talk about leaving where you live,
yes,
you don't really understand the different areas of new places.
Yeah.
You might see like a really good house for sale somewhere.
Yeah.
And then not realize that like, well, there's lots of like gang activity around there and crime and drug dealing and stuff.
It's interesting that when I said like, do you daydream as if money were an object? I thought you'd be like, oh, I could go to fucking the Bahamas or here or there. You're still thinking super. I guess maybe that's another thing about fatherhood. You're thinking super practically, like a village outside of town. Like Jesus, Aaron, calm down with those dreams over there. But like that's.
Honestly, I think even before I had a child, when it came to like money things, like I was never the kind of guy that would say, oh yeah, I'm gonna go like on holiday, I'm gonna buy a big car, I'm gonna do this.
You have
like, I'm gonna buy a house, pay off the mortgage.
Yeah, you don't think like.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's you anyway. That's really interesting. What about, right, what you'd tell yourself like right before? Is there anything in terms of like, I don't want you to like be, this is you talking to past Aaron before he's born. I don't want you to be taken off guard by this. I don't want you to worry about this. Like, what would you tell him? Because I remember talking to that guy and he was a bit like, it's a big deal, but you weren't like, you were taking it in stride. Is there anything that guy could do with a bit of a tip? No, you have to ride with it a bit, innit?
It's been like, it's been really smooth, to be honest. Like, the difficult bits are the difficult bits that everyone's going to face with a child.
Right.
There's been nothing exceptionally bad about it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think at the moment, I really do just look at the positives of everything with the situation. I don't, except like a couple of times when you're like so sleep deprived that you're just like, oh my God, I want some sleep.
Right.
And even then you don't resent your child. Do you know what I mean? Even then, just like, yeah.
So with that, how does it make sense that there are people who aren't that? What's that
just
about?
Don't understand it.
Right. Is it more than before even that you're properly, because I sort of get it, but I'm not a parent where I'm like, oh, it's probably their upbringing and psychologically they're not all together. But then you think the animal part of you, where you see them as an extension of yourself, would override that and like force you to either get your shit together a bit or become more selfless. Like some people, it doesn't impact them but at all, fatherhood. Like what's that about?
I literally have no idea.
Yeah.
Now more than ever, I don't understand that.
Right. Do you see a lot of like shitty people out there and be like, that's just bad parenting now? Is it pretty much, is that how you see?
I'm less judgmental now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because you don't know what people are going through.
Yeah.
You don't know how much, say, a mum is struggling with raising their child, or how much a dad's like struggling with like not being able to see his kid because he's like working all the time and stuff. Or even like a dad that doesn't see his kid. Like so many times they're made out to be some sort of deadbeat dad, and the reality is it's just like the mum's not letting him see the kid and all this sort of stuff. Like there's so much more around it. So yeah, I'm definitely not in a place to judge anybody with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting the way I even said, you see bad parenting as if it's a conscious choice. Like that's a lineage of bad parenting that's got them there. And maybe in their lots of improvements, even if they're not fully getting it together. Like hopefully generational pain, we get to change and heal a bit. But you're raising literally the first year of your child's life. There's a pandemic on when all the news is happening and it was March and we were all freaking out. Were you freaking out differently to me, do you reckon? Or were you actually keeping your eye off it? I remember talking to you at the time and it was like chill and joking about it and memes, like you can't get too up in your feelings about it, I guess.
The only real concern I've had with it, so I had the initial sort of panic of like, oh my God, what if people I know get it and everything? And just based on the maths alone, of the percentages of who's likely to die from it, who's likely to contract it, like in my opinion, there's nothing to fear. I'm not going to fear it. Like there's probably stuff I do on a daily basis that puts me at higher risk of death than COVID, and I still live my life, so I'm not affected by it in that kind of way. The most amazing part about it for me was the fact that with the lockdown and everything and lots more working from home, there was so much more time that I got to spend with Jacob.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't have had if I'd been working. There's so much stuff I've seen now and so much more time that I've had with him because I've had to be at home. Whereas I would have literally been, so it takes me about an hour to drive to work, start at 9, finish at 5. So I'm out of the house 8 till 6.
Right.
And then if I wanted to keep training and stuff as well, that's even longer.
Right.
So yeah, it's just given me all this extra time with him that I never would have got before.
Oh, that's so sweet. I'm thinking like the world's ending and you're there going, actually, I got to stay in my little bubble a bit. Because when you talk about your work day and then you want to do training to take care of yourself and be a good version of you, you literally end up with this tiny window to hang out with your fucking child. That's mad. Every day it's just this tiny window.
And honestly, like, so the days where I do go into the office,
Yeah.
back when it was like we were doing full-time hours again, you get home at 6 and like he's in bed half an hour later.
Bless.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So the fact that we've had like so much more working from home and stuff, it's just been amazing.
Yeah. Because like it's not even like action packed, I imagine, for someone outside it. Like if I was watching, we're like, well, you crawled a bit, whatever. But like for you, this is a fucking big deal. This is like, it's probably almost spiritual energy almost to spend more time with him than not. Like the version of Aaron who for a few weeks sees him for like half an hour every day versus the version of Aaron who spends a few hours with him every day is probably a happier guy.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, I've never been the kind of person that's like about stuff. Like, I don't want loads of stuff. I don't want a flash car. I'm not really that fussed about a giant house. It's all about practicality with me.
Yeah.
But with, I felt like I was going to make a really good point there. My brain has literally just gone blank.
Well, like about the happiness.
Yeah. So just spending time at home, and I've got like this dog and my wife and my son.
Yeah.
And I'm just like watching TV and like Jacob's like pulling my leg and showing me his toys and babbling at me and like Nicole's doing something. I love it. It's amazing.
Oh, bless your heart, mate. That's
like
such...
that is all I want from life.
Yeah.
And literally, if I could just go to the gym and do jiu-jitsu around that as well, like that is all I need to do. Honestly, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
Doing that the rest of my life.
So isn't that a weird disconnect then, where you found this little hub, you know, and it's all safe, and there's like the extended family bit that you want to be safe and cozy and snug too, and then what's going on in the world? Do you feel like sometimes like we're almost like watching a show of it? Like when I look on social media sometimes and everything that's going on and the news changing minute to minute, this Priti Patel thing with the bullying seems to be the big story today, and we got Brexit coming up. Like you're just watching the story, like how does it involve me? Like sometimes when it's getting me stressed, I'm like, well, it shouldn't be getting me stressed, but then I'm like, should I be getting more involved? Like I learn a lot from you and thinking, you know, your happiness is the house and the people, and I try to focus on these things, my space and my people. But sometimes then I do see stuff and it makes me worried about the space and the people, because whatever your political views are, I don't think anyone's going to be saying things are great right now.
I think what's really opened my eyes is, so, you know, like everything that was going on through Trump being president, like the riots and the Black Lives Matter stuff and everything. And then everyone was like, oh my God, it's so good Trump's gone now. Well, he's trying not to, but like, he probably will be gone.
Yeah.
And then Biden's going to be there. You think, well, do you know what? Like, America is still going to go invade other countries. There's still going to be like institutional racism. There's still going to be corrupt politicians. They're still not really going to give a shit about anybody. Right? So one way or another, it makes no difference. Like, yes, there was one guy who was a bit more of a vocal arsehole about it. But they're still politicians. And in my, like, not like tons of politics behind this opinion, but like, I just don't care anymore. I'm like not invested in the situation whatsoever, because I'm like, they're going to do what they're going to do regardless. They might have their own little different agendas.
Yeah.
But I really don't believe anymore that any politician has our best interest at heart.
No,
so,
yeah.
So why stress about it? Like, what's going to be is going to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nothing's going to change so drastically that I don't recognize life anymore.
Right. But if stuff starts looking off in that way, then you'd pay attention and be invested again. It's like if things changed enough. Because, like, in theory, yeah, if Brexit actually happens in a few years, life might look a little different. But even now, we can't control that or affect that. So why ride up with it with your feelings? You've just disconnected. I think that's so healthy. I think I mostly do that. But I think being a bit more stable with that, probably as a dad and husband, is a really good shout. Here's one last thing I wonder about fatherhood, right? Well, I think sometimes just when I'm abstractly picturing being a dad, I almost think of it as like the student-teacher dichotomy, where I'm like, as much as I like teaching kids and working with kids, there's a part of me that always wants to be the student, and I want to not have an ultimate authority, and I want to like be the high-achieving student and learn stuff and do stuff. And I feel like when you cross over that divide to be a teacher, at the end of the day, your priority is them achieving and them doing stuff. And sometimes I've thought of parenthood like that, where I'm like, I want to at least have had a few boxes ticked in terms of like either artistic ambitions or life experiences, because I feel like you're going to cross this divide when you have a kid where it's like, I'm mainly here for them in life, in existence terms. So like there's this almost selfish part of me that's like, if I did it tomorrow, I'd find it hard because there's a few like unchecked boxes or unfulfilled bits, right? So I'm wondering what you think of that in terms of the Aaron who, when I first met him, was thinking of the things he's going to do with his life, and like how you think of those things now. Obviously, Jacob's now the main thing. So do you think of like, it's almost nicer that your life goals are now him at the top? Do you know what I mean? Mine are like, oh, I'm going to make an album or whatever. It's kind of like whatever. Yours is actually kind of much more profound and sick, and all of them involve him. It's kind of better now, fuller.
I don't know, because I've never really known what I've wanted to do with my life. I've never been in a point where I'm like, this is what I want to achieve. This is where I want to be. I want to have this career or this job or make this much money.
Yeah.
I've always just been like, let's just see what happens. Like,
yeah, which I think is very healthy, by the way. I know people talk about goal setting and whatever, but I think if you do that too hard, you end up missing what life is right in front of you because you're so driven and trying to get to this thing. Like, if I feel like you've always had that where you're rolling with it and adapting and making the best of shit.
Yeah, like for me, work should be something that you don't hate, but like I'm never expecting to love my job.
Right. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's still work. It's still going to come with the stresses that work comes with.
Yeah.
As long as I've got enough money to like do what I need to do, and then more money to do what I want to do, within reason as well. Like I don't even need that much extra money.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. Do you know what I mean? Like my family doesn't go hungry. I can train as much as I want.
Yeah.
Like, pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Just everything I need, I've got money for, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't have like a flashy car or anything. I don't really want one.
And you get a lot of meaning out of family anyway. That's the most meaningful part of life, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the most thing I spend money on, the thing I spend the most money on is probably food. Like, definitely a big food guy.
Yeah.
But
you lot make some good over there, to be fair. Food is and should be up there. And it makes me think of how people talk about you should spend money on experiences, not stuff. Like food is almost like a tiny little version of that, where it's like we have these 2 or 3 daily experiences every day, and you put like love and time into it, and it's really nice, as opposed to like all of these fucking books I have. Kill me now.
Look at my reasonable little bookshelf there.
Yeah, how reasonable. I think that's the encapsulation of the dad and the dude, where the dude over here is like, yeah, just hoarding these motherfuckers, and you're like, actually, with my shit together, it's reasonable. Do you want some of these?
Yeah, just like put them all in the box and we'll have them.
But yeah, okay. Well, listen, fatherhood sounds amazing. I think you're never going to be ready for it. You just have to sort of, it has to happen to you for you to understand it. Like, there's some stuff I'm just sort of taking your word for, mate. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Do you know what I mean? Obviously this is just my experience as well.
Say again?
This is just my experience as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, I imagine people's experiences vary differently. So another story I got told recently by, I'm not going to say a name either, he was saying that like he was feeling like quite suicidal.
Right.
With the whole, with the whole baby situation, because he had like all these plans where he was going to like go traveling with his wife, had all these plans and stuff, and then the baby came along, and he was just like, "There's all these things I wanted to do with my wife, and I couldn't. I'm stuck in a place where I don't really want to live anymore, but it makes more sense because that's where my wife's family are, so it makes more sense to live here." And he went through a really, really rough patch. He was like really open with me, and
bless. That's probably healthy.
It was really amazing to hear that, honestly. But yeah, that's how different it is. You know what I mean? I'm sitting here like proper content dad with his fucking yellow jumper on.
Yeah.
And other the other side of it.
That. It makes me think of even early Louis C.K. stand-up, where he's really like getting a lot of, obviously it's very humorous, but he is, I feel like a lot of people like that stand-up because like there's bits you can't talk about in society about the bits of parenthood you find hard. And it's like what your friend's going through, like people, it's not socially acceptable to talk about that. And it feels like you legit only have bits and pieces of that compared to other people. But I think I'm really glad that friend of yours had you to talk to about it, because if you can't say it, it will fester. But you probably found it kind of tough to relate.
Yeah. So something like not on that scale, but like something similar that I've experienced is where like, you know, when like you sort of have to take time for yourself. You just have to, like, you've really sleep deprived, you've got work in the morning.
Yes.
There's been a few times where I've been like driving to work or back from work and it feels like I'm gonna fall asleep at the wheel and stuff like that. And I'm like, I genuinely might die. Like this, I need to do something, I need to rest.
Yeah.
And then you beat yourself up, you're like, well no, everyone has to go through this.
Right.
Everyone, like every dad that's involved to the extent that I am has this to go through.
Yes.
And then you start to beat yourself up and you're like, well, you're just a bad dad. Like, why didn't you just get on with it?
Right.
And I'll tell you what makes it difficult is the fact that people talk about everything I talk about as a dad, everyone's experience, and they say, yeah, we did that. Yeah, our baby screamed for that long. They kept us up at this time, all that sort of stuff. And you know that all families go through that with their babies. That doesn't make it easier. I've always thought just because it's so common that like you just go, oh, that bit happens, and then you get through that. Like you do get through it, but like it's really, really hard.
Yeah.
And, I never took that into account. I never thought I'd be looking at like the, let's say, the sleep situation and Jacob waking up every hour and stuff. And
yeah,
I didn't think it'd be hard.
Is it different because like things that we found hard when we were younger, like uni or relationships or whatever, it could get to a certain point. This is just how I'm thinking of it. It could get to a certain point where it's so hard you can bail. There's always that option. You don't have that option anymore. You fucking have to figure it out and stay above water and just do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's what really makes it difficult is that like you don't get to switch it off now. You say me and Nicole are both burnt out at the same time.
Yeah. That's what I imagine is the daily balance of like, supporting.
You don't get to just go, oh, do you know what, like, no baby today, let's just like nap for the day. Come on, like, no, he's gonna carry on crying, he's gonna keep screaming, he needs feeding. That's gonna keep happening.
And because that's probably where you have the bit of like extended family support probably comes in very handy, because even the best parent ever, this is just me talking, for their own parenting skills and energy needs an occasional either auntie, uncle, grandparent just to take them off your hands for a quick hot sec to reach
so obviously like with the whole COVID situation, that hasn't really been an option this year.
Right. So have you felt that lack for now? Like because you have such close family, they could be helping. They probably miss him and want to be spending more time with him, obviously.
Yeah, of course. I think where we're like super fortunate is that like me and Nick do kind of support each other when it's like one of us is getting a bit more burnt out.
Yeah, that's really good.
So, like once a week, one of us will get a lie-in or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like one of us will just take Jacob and do everything that needs doing, and the other person in bed. And it really like that works. Do you know what I mean? And it sort of shows that the other person cares.
Yes.
And so that helps definitely.
I think that might be a very specific thing that's literally 2020 babies and like 2019 babies. Yeah. In the next few years, things maybe with the vaccine, whatever, get a bit back to normal. And that's such a unique thing, man. What do you want to tell Jacob about the first year of his life when he's older?
I have no idea.
It's so crazy how you like, I don't know how bittersweet it is for a parent to think about this, but my mum was trying to remind me of some stories the other day of meeting relatives. I think it's so meaningful for parents to speak about like their cousins or their grandparents that you met, extended family who like passed away, for instance. And there was this name Magdi, and I was like, oh, I got a face in my mind, but it's not coming. There's something like, it's a very weird thing where then I can say, because I remember the name and I got a face, but like she was living and there when I walked into a room with him, and I'm smiling and laughing and I'm hugging him. And maybe we did that a few times when we went to visit Egypt. And now I'm older, and I don't know if maybe like just having social media and videos of fucking everything is going to change this, but like that was like something that meant something to her, and she banked it, and then he passed away, and she thought, oh, at least Jeff met him. But now it's all these years later, and I'm like, yeah, probably. I think about that sometimes as a parent, where in these first years, it's so interesting to me that like psychologically, by being good, loving parents, you're setting him up for life. But like, but because he's a child, in terms of like details and memories and anecdotes, when he's 10, you'll be like, oh, do you remember I had to Jeff wave to you on Zoom or whatever? But like, like nothing right now is going to congeal, and that's going to be very different for our generation of parents, I guess, with the videos. But yeah, it's interesting. So like the pandemic year, there's going to be so much content about it, and he'll learn about it at school maybe. But like,
so yeah, I think the fact that we do have like camera phones and all that sort of stuff is going to be massively different, because everything he's done has been captured on camera.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like the first time like he laughed, that was on camera. The first steps he took. So he took his first steps at the childminders the other day, and we would have just missed it. Do you know what I mean? Me and Nicole both thought we'd have just missed it, but they sent her a video of it, so we actually got to see his first steps.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so Nicole was a little bit upset that she wasn't there.
Yeah,
for it.
even with the video,
no, we're so lucky that we live in a time where like you can film it. You know what I mean? Because we didn't have to miss it.
Yeah. Good. He's walking now.
Sort of like he's just taking his first few sort of steps. He can stand up by himself and like keep balance. So he started to like shuffle forwards a little bit, and yeah, he's getting there. Not properly walking yet, but I'll send you the video in a little bit.
Yeah. How fucked is time though? That this little nothing, like barely organs and skin, and then you just keep pouring time on it, and then it ends up fucking looking like you. And like being a person, I'm proper baffed by that. Like, oh, that's just a general. If we talk about parenthood a bit, you end up just talking about how time passes and it's a bit mad. But yeah, Jacob and
you think, man, less than a year ago, you were at my house holding him, feeding my bottle.
Yeah.
Less than a year ago. Do you know what I mean? That was happening.
It's funny when we talk about it a bit. I've got a very vivid memory. I think it's the day we went to go see the Big Nasty show. I have a very vivid memory of being on the London Underground with you, and you just talking about it, and me like not quite getting my head around it. It was like the way someone talks about like I've got a holiday coming up, like these are my plans. You're talking about fatherhood. I'm like, yeah, okay, like, but I wasn't processing it properly. But I'll remember like, yeah, that was a bit of a different guy. Like you're an actual dad now, and I think that's one thing this conversation has reminded me. It's not a language one. We can't figure it out with language. It's either you've got it in your life or you haven't.
Yeah, no, definitely. I spoke to my dad like a few days ago, and I was talking about like Jacob and everything, and he was talking about like the idea of like me having more kids.
Oh yeah.
And I said I can't imagine ever loving a child as much as I love Jacob.
That's so sweet. It's also like
now I know that I will.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because all parents do it. You have another kid, and I didn't think I would love a kid as much as I love Jacob anyway.
Right.
I've always been one of these people that like I don't like kids. Like when people hand me a baby, I'm just like, yeah, lovely. There you go, mate. Have it back. So yeah, that's really bizarre.
Yeah, I wonder when he has siblings, you'll be like, listen, Kirsty's okay, but I'm going back to Jacob. You're fucking long. And that's also, oh mate, I love that you're not even a kids guy, because I'm a big kids guy. I find them so funny and entertaining and whatever. And so like, I'm like, oh, it'll be fun anyway. But I love that idea that you're not even a kids guy, but it's not about him being a kid. It's because he's Jacob.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not like now you're filled with this energy where you're like at the park, like, let's all play. You're probably more than ever like, leave me alone. Bless you, man.
Yeah, I like my kid. I don't like your kid. Fucking
exactly. Well, listen, I've just remembered I forgot to use this, so this is going great. You're a dad now, and I'm a bit fucked and beautiful, and kind of the point of life. Do you reckon? Quick hot take question: do you reckon people who don't have kids are wasting their lives and not doing life properly? Nah, you're not judgmental enough for that. They're missing something, though, innit? Be real.
Yeah, I don't judge anybody, and I'm not like you're doing the wrong thing, because it might be the right thing for you, but like, I reckon there will be a point that, say somebody's got like this amazing career, like men and women, this isn't like a gender thing.
Yeah.
That you get to a point and like you've got all this success and everything, but like if there's nobody to really share it with, like, what good is that? Like, you've got this like amazing house, you've got loads of money. If like, because they will keep dating.
Yeah.
They're still going to be looking for that they're still going to be looking for that kind of relationship.
Yeah. So even though the sharing is an important thing, but like, let's say a really settled couple who just won't have kids, so they getting the sharing bit isn't the bit that takes it over the top for parenting, is that you're passing something on that will survive you. It's not even sharing, it's caring for. It's like growing a garden or planting a tree. Like you're doing it, you're growing it, you're taking care of it. Because yeah, I feel like being lonely and self-sufficient, and you can still share with a partner or a little group or whatever, but the bit of parenting that I find really special is that you're passing your shit on. It's almost like your life, if you don't have kids, when you die, it's like people get to tell nice stories about you. That's literally the best you can get. Whereas if you have a kid, you have a literal person who is like your legacy. It's like they have your energy, they have your genetic makeup, they have, yeah, I don't know. That's why I find it quite interesting when people don't feel that that's needed, which I think is kind of a very fair option too, but it's just, yeah, it seems very special to me to pass on your life.
I come from like a really family-focused family.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think regardless, I was going to have that kind of mentality anyway.
You probably have never had even a thought in your head of not doing that because of how you were raised. And
yeah, absolutely. Like, that's always been like my plan, you know what I mean, to have a family. And I've never been like, oh, I'm going to like travel and like make a shitload of money and have a big house. Like, that's never been what I've wanted to do. It has always been,
yeah,
oh no, I want my family.
yeah. And I really like that balance you've got now of literally even mentioning to me you wanted to potentially do self-authoring, and like the fact that you have your own shit together and know you have to look after yourself. And with that said, we were talking about doing self-authoring pre-Jacob, and it was like to work on yourself is a good thing, and then like life happens, we get busy, it's a hard thing to fucking do. But now that you still want to do it, I'm almost a bit confused. I'm like, dude, aren't you busy enough? Is part of you bringing it up still and wanting to do it like almost for Jacob or for you, or
Nah, like, so you can argue that it ties into Jacob, but it's not for Jacob.
right?
Like, I still want to be like the best person I can be.
Yes.
And if that does translate into me being a better dad, then good. But like, yeah, I still need to progress. I still need to like work on myself, don't I?
Yeah, 100%. So really, you're still a person. You're not. I think that's a worry I have. Yeah, so I'm really glad to hear it, because I think once I become a dad, I'll just be a dad, and you're not going to be a good dad if you're just never not Mr. Caring, if you don't care for yourself a bit and do your own shit still.
So something that me and Nicole like always facilitated with each other, just from when we started going out to buying a house together, having a kid, is we've both been really sort of like gym focused.
Interesting. Right? Yeah.
So, you know, you get some couples and they'll get funny about it, like, oh, you spend too much time at the gym, why don't you spend more time with me and stuff? Like, we really support and encourage each other with that sort of stuff.
That's so key. And that was before Jacob?
Yeah, even before Jacob. To the point where I remember once talking about not going to the gym or jiu-jitsu or something.
Yeah.
And she just went, you know, if anybody else said that, you'd call them a bitch, wouldn't you? I went, yep, cool, see you in a bit. And just went. So pre-second lockdown, like, yeah, would like keep facilitating that for each other, because it's like really important for your mental health as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I just suddenly stop going to the gym or doing jiu-jitsu or whatever I'm doing, I'm not going to be the same person.
Fucking A, exactly. Oh, that's so good that you actually have this pattern of like, yeah, obviously I love having you around, but like, can you go and just do your own thing and get some energy out and be physical and like, yeah, that's so fucking healthy. Shit. So, and that was a pattern you had before Jacob, and that became a lot more needed when you became a parent and your energy was going to get used up massively day to day. And that was a pandemic and you needed some time anyway. You probably are looking forward to the end of this lockdown like a motherfucker.
So once the lockdown properly starts, like, my head kind of switches off.
Yeah.
And I even feel like my personality changes a little bit. Like, I go from trying to be this like really fucking aggressive alpha type dickhead, where I was like, everyone's a bitch, you need to lift and you need to do this and blah, 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 blah. that sort of shit.
Yeah.
I get like way more focused on like reading and audiobooks and
yeah. You just train your mind instead. You have a training mindset. You always need to be working on something, and without the physical, you get you ruminate. You put on the glasses, put on that sweater. It's not like you don't read when you're lifting and the gyms are open, but like you just put more of your energy into that.
Yeah, because it's like all there really is to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Have you ever read a book called The Road by Cormac McCarthy?
I've literally got it on my Kindle.
Yeah. I remember reading it when I was very young and talking to Tazi about it and being like, when I read this book, I'm confused about who to like relate to more, the dad or the kid, because I still feel quite young, but like we're getting older now. This is like when we're in our late teens or whatever. And it's just about some post-apocalyptic thing has happened and this dad is taking care of his kid. But I feel like a lot of what you said today has reminded me I want to read that book again because
there you go. Look. I don't know if it's the
hey,
right way around.
Ruth, good on you, mate. It's pretty, listen, I'm not exactly recommending it to you right now. It's pretty dark, but it's just it's like if this you know what, that if what happened to the world in that book happened to our world, I think you'd very closely resemble that dad, because it's just everything's gone to shit and he's taking care of his kid.
So I started listening to it as an audiobook because, basically driving to work and back, that's like an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I was listening to music a lot of the time, and I was like, that is such a waste of my time because I'm actually just listening to the same songs over and over again. So I got Audible and started listening to audiobooks.
Yeah.
I think I've got through like 12 this year.
Oh, shit, dude.
Yeah, it's decent. And I started listening to The Road, but just the guy's voice was just so irritating. I couldn't stick with it.
So you don't remember being put off by the content? Because I wouldn't have been surprised. It's just bleak and long.
Have you heard of an author called Yukio Mishima?
Mishima, yeah. What did he write? I've heard of. Haven't read it, no.
Let me just find it, hon. So I've just bought Shiraz, this book.
Yeah.
And
Shiraz.
I'm listening to it on Audible. The Sailor Who Fell from Grace with the Sea.
Oh, no, I haven't heard it. I like that title, though.
It is fucking dark, man.
Is it?
It starts off like this guy's like watching his mum get dressed and all this sort of stuff. And it's making me uncomfortable. I'm like, whoa, this is weird, right?
Yeah.
Then he's like weird little group with his friends.
Yeah.
Like some weird little cult thing. And there's like a bit where like they find this kitten and they start like smashing it on a fucking tree and like fucking skinning this dead cat. And I'm like, wow, fucking hell. And like, that's not even the dark bit. I know that it gets worse.
Hey, I'm looking that shit up.
If you look up the author, he's really fucking interesting.
Like, yeah. Thank you.
He's done so many different things.
Yes.
He's like a bodybuilder. And then he tried to overthrow some Japanese government.
Classic.
Didn't work. And then is it Harikari? When you stab yourself? No, seppuku. So he's like gone fucking bang with a sword.
No.
And that's real life. I mean, he actually did that. Yeah, he's dead. He did that.
Shit, man. Yeah, like, okay, that dude lived an intense life. I'm interested now. I will read his book. What's your favorite audiobook then of 2020 if you're 12 deep? Let's get out of here with some recommendations.
Honestly, like, I make it feel like my opinions are worth less because of this, but like most books I read, I'm like, that was really good. I like that.
I literally I'm the same. I find it pretty hard to come up with scathing reviews of stuff. I don't think that.
So yeah, I'm just gonna say some of the good ones that I've read and listened to this year that have been amazing. So Fear Bubble by Ant Middleton, you know, the guy from that SES program.
Oh yeah,
that's been really good because he talks about how like it wasn't just and then I was in the army and then I shot this guy, and that he's like talking about like the psychology of it and how like you get your head around certain things, and that was really cool.
Nice. That one about London and like, what about that gangster one? Do you remember? You were even recommending it to me.
Where is it? It should be on here.
Shiraz.
There was by Gabriel Krause.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was pretty cool. Listened to Heroin Diaries by Nikki Sixx as well.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that's hilarious.
That was incredible. I fucking love that.
Yeah, man.
That Welcome to Berry Park one.
Oh yeah.
Just the fact that like it got me like into Springsteen.
Yes.
So I really appreciate that.
Oh, dude, I didn't. Oh, like yeah, you actually listened to the whole audiobook of it.
Yeah. No. I read that.
Oh, you read the book? I watched the movie, but I haven't actually read. So yeah, I can't wait. Oh, sick, bro. Yeah, my guy. Greetings from Berry Park, indeed. I was sick. I need to read more, man. It's so funny. We're very different in that way, by the way, where I feel quite liberated during a lockdown to be running more and exercising more in the house. And yeah, like I'm reading less than ever right now. So that's super interesting. It makes me, when you talk about that, I'm like, I need to be mixing it up a little bit. Because like even now, like, listen, this has been a great chat, but I need to go out and run. Like, why can't I think I need to sit here and read a little book?
So, but here's the difference, okay? Yeah. Somebody from jiu-jitsu the other day was like, have you done much training recently? And I went, mate, I'm not even drinking water. Like, that is how much I'm not really taking care of myself, like, from a physicality point of view. Like, not doing any sort of exercise except walking the dog here and there.
Right.
Barely drinking water, super caffeinated.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm the complete opposite. I've like switched that whole side off completely.
Yeah. Because
whereas you've kind of gone the other way.
Yeah, how mad, right?
Yeah, it's really weird.
Oh man. Mate, you have a kid. I'm still not quite fit. Like, that's mad.
Yeah, that is.
He's just going to keep growing up and going through stuff and becoming a person. He's literally going to become a person with his own personality. Like right now, you're like, oh, I told him to say dada. He said dada. Like, do you know what I mean? These beginning things of him showing a bit of his personality. But like in a few years, he's going to like have his whole own thing going on. Maybe you see it already. It's hard when you're outside. When you see a baby, you're like, they're all the same. Good for them. But like,
yeah, I think the most interesting thing I'm going to find is like, you know, when he thinks he knows better, or that I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
and I don't understand how he feels and all that sort of stuff. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah. How could he rebel? Because like you're so chill usually, and not judgmental. That if he's like dyeing his hair blonde and skateboarding, you'd be like, all right, cool. If he's you'll be like, you suck that dick, son. You'll be supportive.
I mean, I wouldn't say that, but I also wouldn't be like, yeah, suck that pussy, son, either.
Yeah, exactly.
I think what's going to be difficult is like, so our generation is like super cool with like the whole gay lesbian thing.
Yes.
Now there's like the whole like trans thing emerging.
Yes.
That's going to be the new thing for our generation. That's what parents are going to struggle with, and then until that becomes normal.
Yeah, already struggling with it. We're already struggling with it, with people not being sure and like being, and yet people too reactionary and not inclusive. But then I think we're speeding it up, and there's a lot of people from the old school who just are still trying to get their heads around it, probably like our parents' generation. What if Jacob's 4 and he's like, Dad, I'm trans?
Honestly, like, I don't know. I literally don't have a fucking clue.
I made it 4 for comic effect. Like, you don't have to actually ponder it seriously. Like, if he's 10, you'd be like, oh, fuck, I have to talk to him. If he's 4, maybe I'm wrong and out of step with it. But I think if he's 4, you're like, just fucking eat your apple that I had to cut up into tiny bits so you can swallow it, you dickhead. Just get on with your day.
Yeah, just Dad, I'm a girl. All right, mate, well done.
Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah, you're away from that. I feel like when I talk about some of the in the future stuff, how much can you put your mind there? You've got enough to go on just dealing with today, as if you're already getting ready for him to leave for uni. Like that will take care of itself when it does. But I love that idea of you not wanting to be in the same place physically. So that's one goal. With all your stuff about, oh, I'm chill, I just want a family, I just want them to be safe. Because of that, you have got a goal now of like, by the time he's high school, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting. We'll see where you end up.
That's more like worst case scenario. Like if we don't move before then, that's like what we really need to aim for.
Is there any part of your brain that thinks maybe the area will be a bit more by that time, a bit more chill?
No, it's like historically been bad here.
All right. Any chance?
And it's still living.
Yeah. Would you ever move abroad?
Yeah.
Ooh, no,
Yeah.
no, Aaron. Fucking hell. You can't have Brexit. You can't vote for Brexit, have Brexit, and then fuck off and leave me here. You have to stay there.
Yeah, true that.
No, you can go, mate. Where
Honestly,
would
I
you
can't believe I
go?
got suckered into that. Literally,
Oh,
just
really? Do you think of that very differently now?
yeah. I'm just like, wow, I made the fucking wrong call entirely. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, I just felt completely susceptible to all of the propaganda,
right. The
all
lies.
of the social media bullshit,
Yeah, and
and once you take that away from me, I'm like, okay, what the fuck did I just vote for?
yeah. And you
And
got
here's the thing as well, what people say, and it's just like, even the people that did vote Brexit,
yeah,
right? There's not one version of Brexit. There's not. Do you know
exactly.
what I mean? Whereas now it's literally like we're going to do it however we want with the government. We're going to do this. We're going to do that.
Yeah,
And then if anyone tries to challenge it, it's like, well, no, you voted for Brexit. And you're like, well, I didn't vote for this.
yeah. And they can just and then we voted for Boris's government to follow it through, even though if you just look at all the votes that came in for pro-Remain parties, Remain won again. Again, I
Here's the
say,
God's honest truth. I still don't know what the right decision is. I don't know if it's better to be in the EU, better to be out. I've got no concept. Whereas now when I look at it, I'm like, well, you shouldn't have voted all them.
right? Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't have an opinion.
Yeah.
I don't understand what's better for like
Yeah.
the country's economy or anything. So
Yeah.
don't vote. You don't really have a say in this matter.
Yeah.
And neither does anybody. So the wrong decision entirely was to kind of go, all right, the people of the UK, what do you think we should happen? No, you're the government. You tell us what should happen. You should know what this shit's about.
Yeah, it's very, So I think, I think even without being as educated as you're saying you should be, I still think Remain was the better option. I'm not saying the best option, the only option. I still think looking at what's happened, it's easy to say with 2020 hindsight, but like I still think it was the better option. But yeah, the fact that it even was laid out on the table the way it was, and then basically every person who had a gripe, I feel like got sold a different version of Brexit. Oh, this will work for you for that. This will work for you for that. Hey, you're a bit too many immigrants. There you go. Oh, not enough money for the NHS. There you go. So everyone was like, and now what Brexit is actually going to look like. Yeah, I wonder how many people are out there like you, or if most people are just like, yeah, fucking Boris, do your thing, buying into his propaganda. It's a mad thing. Oh, it's going to be so sad. We have to tell Jacob Boris was prime minister when he was born. That's long. Because I know, like, we just roll with it and we're used to it now. But I remember a couple of years ago when Trump first got into power, speaking to someone, and they were like, Mark, this was Theresa May days. They were like, mark my words, it's going to be Trump and Boris. And I was like, listen, I have barely got my head around the apprentice host being president of the United States, as if our big clown politician is also going to be at the same time. Like, I'm still like thinking we're all so used to it so quickly. A few years ago, this was not on the table, my guy, let alone the end of Barack Obama's term, before Theresa May with David Cameron. He literally resigned over Brexit, didn't he? Like, this is a whole other thing that I'm still like, we've all gotten a bit used to it now, but it's fucking mental.
I remember when they were campaigning, and like, you know, Boris Johnson's doing the weird shit when he was like taking phones off journalists and locking himself in freezers. And I was like, how is anybody going to vote for this guy? Like, this is the leader of your country.
Yeah. Literally, I wouldn't like him to be the manager of my little centre.
Exactly. And then they voted him in, and you're like, just when that happened, I was like, okay, cool, I'm done. Like, just whatever happens, it happens now. You deserve it. You voted for him.
Yeah.
Nobody complained about him.
Yeah. Oh, it's so.
But then that being said, I don't know that Jeremy Corbyn would have done a better job.
No, but again, yeah, I think the thing is he would have done in some ways a bad job and in some ways a better job. I think I line up with him on a lot of social issues a lot more. But yeah, I think your point earlier about how politicians don't have our best interests at heart, that shouldn't make you so just like fuck all of it then. Like, people are less bad. I think that's enough reason to vote. You don't have to. I used to think when I was a kid, especially around the Obama propaganda, that politics was all about fucking standing someone. Like, yes, he's the first black president. He wrote a cool book, and fucking look at this guy with his. I really like bought into like the iconography and stuff. And then now that these years have passed, I remember going to like a Jeremy Corbyn rally once and hearing him talk. And I was like, he's been one of these guys like Bernie Sanders, who for years before he was like a more prominent politician, he was agreeing with these values I do and anti-racism when it wasn't fashionable. He's always been voting on the right side of history and progressive and stuff. But I remember being at this rally thinking, this is kind of cool, but like this bit of me that wanted like a, you know, let's have a revolution. This is the guy. Like, it wasn't that. It was just this old guy sort of talking about stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'd vote for him. Like, it was chill. Like, if I'd preferred him to have given it a go. It's like me being at work and looking at the colleagues and like, who would you like to get promoted and potentially like be in charge of you for the day? Like, whoever I pick, I'm like, I'm probably still not going to love this. But I know for a fact the guy I hate the most, if he was in charge, we'd be fucked. I'm not saying the other guy is a guy or girl is like properly suited to the job. Corbyn would have been perfect, but like literally just as a personality test, Corbyn should have, and now fucking Keir should. I don't care. I'm sorry, I'm that guy. Boris is a bit the worst. Trump is a bit the worst. Maybe I'm a bit off in terms of if Trump died, we'd have Mike Pence, and without all the hysteria and funny bullshit that Trump does, he's actually just as bad, just super boring. So maybe you need to be wary of that. People say one of the worst things about Trump is that in a few years, someone will be able to tap into the same things, but be less messy. And he'll be able to be like riling up people and getting them to believe in conspiracies. But Trump has left himself open to he might be in a lot of legal trouble now. And the next one's going to be in a better suit and then a bit more cleaner presentation. So yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about right now, but basically the people we have in charge right now are the worst. I'll take anything else. Because, yeah, I'm worried about the world. I want Jacob to grow up in a completely not fucked world. Even if we're not fucking it hard into the ground, if we just come up a little bit, we can, like, catch our breath and maybe look at climate change a bit, like, blah, blah, blah. I don't think this desperation where people say, like, oh, it's so fucked anyway, whoever we choose, we're fucked. Yeah, but I feel like with certain choices, we're literally plummeting this plane into the ground, and we need to just, if we take, you know, so that's why I'm like, hey, Biden is going to suck in so many ways, but you know, Trump was too bad. We need to have at least a little bit of moderate catching our breath.
I think historic, like, you know, just look at politics throughout history, and there's never just been like a time where it's just been amazing. It's literally just doing that constantly.
Am I wrong to have felt like the 90s was a bit of a, oh, it was good for a little bit. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you're a kid. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're a child. And
yeah, and then right around the corner, it's 9/11 and things get fucked again.
Not just 9/11, man. Like, there was a fucking huge recession just after the 90s finished,
True.
wasn't it? Like,
yeah.
So, yeah, and that's where a lot of the racism came from, because people were like, oh, it's because Polish people are coming here and stealing our jobs. And you're like, okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's something, it's always going to be up and down. We can't, there's no relaxing. And then history was just fine. Like, I guess that's the nature of it. It's going to be up and down. Just the down right now, I still feel is very surreal. I haven't got my head around it. Oh, I think that's a perfect little trying to end our podcast noise right there from little Jacob. What were you going to say? The world's fine. Shut up. No, it's not. Everything's fucked. And we need
I was going to say, like, the world's always fucked. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Any sort of perception we have that everything's even remotely okay in the world is ridiculous. It's always fucked.
Downer.
Yeah, but like,
it's
it
true.
is what it is, and
100%.
Don't stress about it.
Yeah, be a good person in your own life, and that's the biggest change you can make, really.
Yeah,
Exactly. Well, listen, fuck the haters. Chill out, do your own thing, become a parent if you like, because Aaron certainly has derived a lot of meaning from it. I feel like he was genetically and psychologically predestined to be a good dad anyway. I don't know how much his actual free will is involved. Like, he's just on an automatic, this was going to be what happened anyway. I'm kidding. You're a lovely dad. You make conscious choices. You're your own person. I hope to be a dad and, you know, play football with him. Imagine how beautiful. So by the time Jacob is a teenager, we'll record episode 3 when I'm a dad. That's the new waiting period.
That's sweet. Sounds good.
All right, bruv. I'll catch you soon, yeah? Keep doing your dad thing. Peace, bro. Oh, I'll stop the video. And